everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Just Bookish Things. I know it's been a really long time since I've posted anything, and that's mostly just because school got crazy towards the end of April and throughout May, and I just haven't felt comfortable filming. But I'm back, and I also have a completely different background. As you can see, I'm back home at my family's house for the summer, so I have an actual bookshelf behind me this time. And if you hear anything in the background like water trickling, it's just my fish tank that I have just over here beside me, and their little filter is kind of like a waterfall, so it makes trickling noises all the time. So I apologize for that. I also apologize for the camera shaking. I'm filming on my bed, and so every time I move even just a little bit, it shakes the whole setup, and it's awful. Anyway, so today's video is going to be my May wrap-up and my June TBR. So in the month of May, I read 3 books. One was an audiobook, so I don't know if that counts as actually reading, so I guess I technically listened to one of them. But I'm going to go ahead and get into those first, and then I'll show you what I plan to read in June. So the first book I read in the month of May was The Resurrectionist by E.B. Hudspeth, which is a fictional biography of Dr. Spencer Black. And it's completely fictional. It's not actually a real thing, although it's written as if it were real events that went on. So essentially it follows this character, Dr. Spencer Black, who in the late 1800s, he was a surgeon, but he really focused on anatomy, and it kind of follows him through him trying to prove his hypothesis that the reason there are different birth defects or like deformities in people was because we actually evolved from mythical creatures such as mermaids and I think they're called fawns, where they're like half goat, half human, and things like that. And so he's basically trying to prove that, and it goes through like all of his different like experiments and things like that, and it's really, really creepy. It's written to where it sounds like it actually existed, and when I first read it, at first I didn't realize that it was a fictional biography, and so I actually had to look it up and make sure that Dr. Spencer Black wasn't a real person, because it was just so messed up, everything that was going on. But I really liked it, and I gave it 4 stars out of 5. So the second book I read in May was A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is the second book in the Shades of Magic trilogy, the first one being A Darker Shade of Magic. I read A Darker Shade of Magic last summer, and then I picked this one up, I think, end of December, and I didn't get a chance to read it until now, and I really, really liked it. I think I liked the first one a little bit better, and I think mostly just because I didn't like the chapters with Lila, the chapters that focused on Lila's point of view, simply because she always annoyed me a little bit. But other than that, I really, really enjoyed it, and I did end up giving it 5 out of 5 stars because I did really love it. I don't really want to get into the synopsis of this one just because it might give some things away from the first book. But yeah, it was really good, and I really like it, and I can't wait to read the third one. And the last book I guess, read in the month of May was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I listened to this one on audiobook, and it was narrated by, I believe, Christopher Hurt, I think is his name. And so Fahrenheit 451 is about a dystopian society in which books are banned, and you can't read books because they believe that by reading books and having knowledge on philosophy and stuff like that can make people unequal. And so they're going for like super like equality, and to the point of censorship, to where anyone that has any kind of different ideas or is in any way has a different level of intelligence is automatically deemed corrupt or just not fit for this society. And so they burn the houses that have books in them and arrest the people that have the books. And I loved this book. It's kind of scary how, I guess, similar it is to our current modern day society, in which it's not necessarily censorship by the government, which, I mean, we do have a lot of censorship by the government in some ways, but it's more of censorship by people, to where if you're different, then you're shunned as being different. If you are a lot more intellectual, then you're shunned for being that way. And I feel like this is just one step further from our society, and I don't know, I think it was really eye-opening, and I really enjoyed it, and I give it 5 out of 5 stars. So that's all the books that I completely read in May. I did get halfway through 2 others. I got halfway through The Timekeeper, and I'm listed by Mitch Albom, I think. He's the guy that wrote Tuesdays with Morrie, if you've ever read that. And it's really good. It's about Father Time and how kind of his interaction with, like, how he invented time and, or not really invented time, but invented keeping track of time, and how that's basically cursed him, and him trying to get out of the curse. And it's really good. I really like it. I'm listening to that one on audiobook, and I think I only have like maybe 2 hours left in it, so I'm good halfway through it. And I'm really enjoying it. I really love it. I think it's going to be another 4 or 5 star read for me, so I'm really excited to finish that one. And then I also am halfway through Truth Witch by Susan Dennard, which is a YA fantasy that follows these 2 witches, Safi and Isolde, I think is her name. Isolde? I don't know. Anyway, it's kind of following them and their kind of, I wouldn't say adventure, it's more of them kind of running away. But I'm really enjoying it so far. So yeah, I got halfway through those 2 books. So I'm not going to really count them as books I read in May. Instead, they're going to be the first 2 books I want to finish in June. And then I have 3 more books I want to finish, or I want to read in June. This is kind of ambitious, and I don't know if it's actually going to be done, but I hope it does, because I really do want to read these books. So the first one is The Fellowship of the Ring, which is part 1 to the Lord of the Rings. I guess it's not technically, I mean, I guess it's a trilogy, but technically all of them are supposed to be 1 book, but that he was pretty much forced to publish them as 3. But it's supposed to be 1 big book, so this is the first part of the Lord of the Rings book as a whole. I think I read Fellowship of the Rings, I want to say, like 5 years ago. I never continued on with the series. I read The Hobbit like 5 or 6 times, because The Hobbit is one of my favorite books in the whole world. Like, if I were on a deserted island and I could only bring 1 book with me, it would probably be The Hobbit. Like, I love that book. But yeah, so I want to reread The Fellowship of the Ring so I can get to the other 2 books. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. And the next one I want to read in June is Rook by Shannon Cameron. I read probably the first quarter to half of this, I think in 2015, I think. But I had to return it to my library because I was going home for Christmas, and I had almost a whole month off from school for Christmas, and since I live 3 hours away from where I go to school at, I couldn't just take it with me. So I bought this in this past December, I think, and so I really want to get to it. I really want to start from the beginning and finish it, because I really liked what I had read, and I really want to finish it. And the last book I want to try to get to in June is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. So this is a bind-up of prequel novellas to the Throne of Glass series, and so far I've read every single Throne of Glass series, so far I've read every single Throne of Glass book to date that's like out. I believe I guess it'd be the 7th book in the series if you count the prequel novellas. It'd be the 7th book in the series. I think is coming out in like September or October or something like that. And so I want to have all of the books in this series read before then, and this is the last one I have to read. So yeah, I'd really like to get to this, and I figure it would be kind of fast to read. I don't know, I tried reading it in January, I think, but I had just finished Empire Storms, and I was just kind of tired of the world, because that's all I had been reading up until that point. And like, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy the Throne of Glass books, but I was just kind of tired of reading them and wanted to read something different, so I ended up not picking this one up and instead reading something completely different. I don't even know what I read. I think I read like Illuminate or something. But yeah, so I want to get back and finish this one, and hopefully I'll really like it. So yeah, so that's all the books that I read in May and all the books that I want to read in June. Let me know if you've read any of the books or if you plan on reading any of the books I mentioned in this video. And if you want to follow me and any of my other social media, I'll have it down below. When I'm not posting videos, a lot of times I am posting on there, so I'll have my Instagram, my Goodreads, and my Twitter in the description box, so you can go check it out. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!